Google Drive is where we store most of our data, whether it's a PDF, an image, Excel spreadsheets, Google Sheets, the Google equivalent of Microsoft Office Excel, or any other type of file. Google Drive is our file system. And so we're going to walk through some of the basics as to how to access Google Drive, how the user interface works, and we'll go from there. So from your inbox, you can click on the menu, the 9-square menu on the top right-hand side, and you can jump into Drive. It's going to open up a new tab, and by default, it's going to load your My Drive. Now, the easiest way to think of this is My Drive is sort of your home button. It's your, these are your personal files. However, within there is going to be a link to a shared folder that you may have access to. Now you'll notice here that I have access to the marketing shared folder. I know it's shared because I can see the little person icon on that folder itself, and it looks like I've got a couple of my own documents here in my Drive. So we're going to go through the user interface, starting with the top and that familiar search. When you click on the search bar at the top, it's going to bring up some default search criteria. Perhaps I'm looking for a specific PDF or a text document or a spreadsheet. I can use these options to quickly narrow my search down, because as you can imagine, with tens of thousands of and maybe millions of files, it can be a little bit challenging to find exactly what I'm looking for. Under more search tools, I can even bring up additional search criteria, such as the type of file I'm looking for. Maybe I know the location of the file. I know that it's in a it's in my files. It's not visible to other people, or maybe it's visible to anyone in the company. I can choose whether, maybe I know the last time the file was modified was, within the last 7 days, and I know that in the file itself it had the word sample. So I can click on search here, and in this case you can see it didn't find anything. That's okay, but what I'd like to show you here is the search criteria that I chose just really created a search on the search bar. And you can use this to manipulate. So if you wanted to change this to 03, and maybe you wanted to change this to a different type of file like XLS for a Microsoft Excel file, you can do that all from the search bar. Once you find what you're looking for in the search, you can double click it to open up a preview. Now this is just a preview, and that's why it's got the back and forth buttons here. You'll notice it's transparent, so I can see what's behind it. If I click in that area, it's going to take me back to my Drive. So again, I just clicked on the transparent area. Within the file, I can choose to open it within another application. So if, for example, I was looking at a document such as an Excel document, the preview would come up and it would give me the ability to open that Excel document in Excel or Google Sheets. I can print it, I can download it to my computer, or if I click on the 3 dots on the top right hand side, you'll notice a few additional options, such as adding a star, which will add it to your starred files list. I can move it somewhere, I can rename it, I can go details, or one that I use quite frequently, which is open it in a new window. So if I do that, it's going to open this file in a new tab, and this link is unique to this file. This link will never change, regardless of where the file is actually located. So if you're ever trying to give someone a link to a file, this is a great way to do that. You can just copy and paste this link from the address bar. This is the unique part of that file name that will never change. Going back here, I can click the back arrow to get out of this screen, and I'm back to my search response here. You'll notice it's giving me some other suggestions, like did you mean that the type of file was a PDF? I can choose that, and it's going to give me a little bit different breakdown here. I can clear my search by clicking on the X or by going back to my Drive. On the top right hand side, I've got the 9-square menu that I can use to jump between the different Google applications. I've got my accounts menu item where I can go into my account if I wanted to change my password or something like that. And then below there I've got settings. Now let's jump into settings quickly, because there's a few things that are important here. By default, when you save a file to Google Drive, it's not going to convert it to a Google format. This is handy, however, if you're trying to convert your Excel or Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint files, and you'd like to convert them to the Google equivalent formats. When you check this box off, when you now upload a document, it'll automatically be converted, and then the original uploaded file will be deleted, and you'll be left with just the Google formatted file. So again, if that's an Excel spreadsheet, it'll upload it as Excel, it'll convert it to a Google Sheet, and then it'll delete the Excel file. Next, you've got the offline option. Now, if you check this option off, and you'll notice in the background here it says offline is enabled, it's going to sync all of the Google formatted documents offline. So if you're on a laptop, you're in a plane, and you don't have an internet connection, you can still work with Google Sheets, you can still work with Google Docs or Google Slides, which is the PowerPoint equivalent. You can make all of your changes offline, and when you connect to the internet next, it'll sync those changes back up to the cloud for you. So when you're done, just click on Done, and we're back to our My Drive. So My Drive, again, it's the landing page, it's your home, or it's like your My Documents folder on Windows. And this is where everything sort of lives. Our recommendation is always to try to keep this as clean as possible. And if you start accumulating personal documents, you might just want to create a folder called Personal. And you can drag and drop those files into that personal folder, just like you would do on your desktop. It helps keep things a little bit more organized. You can, on the left-hand side, you can expand or contract the My Drive, which will give you a folder listing. And you can see how that allows you to easily and quickly navigate between folders and subfolders. Shared with me, if you know someone shared a file with you, it'll give you a quick way to open that up. You can go to Recent if you want to see files that have recently been changed. Google Photos, if you have an account that's linked with your phone and it's automatically backing up your photos, that will automatically show a copy of all photos that you've uploaded there. Starred, if you've starred any documents, so if we go to Personal and let's say we want to star this PDF here, and I'm just pulling this menu up by right-clicking on the document, and I'll just go to Add Star. So now when I click on Starred, that one document's going to show up there for me. It's a favorites list, it's a great way to find and quickly access documents. And last but not least, I've got the trash. Now, one important thing is that trash does not automatically empty itself. That's a protection mechanism, so if you delete something, it's going to stay there forever until you empty your trash out. It will continue to use up space on your system, so keep that in mind. Now, within the user interface here, as you can see, it's just like Windows or Mac in Finder. I can select folders. I can double-click to open the folder up. I can drag and drop files around just by clicking, holding, and then dragging and dropping. And when you right-click a folder, you're going to have additional menu options such as Open With. If you want to get a shareable link, that's similar to the unique link that we looked at here. And so if you right-click a file or a folder and you go Get Shareable Link, it's going to add it to your clipboard. So it's already copied it for me. So if I clicked up here, right-clicked, and then went Paste, there it is. I can hit Enter, and it's going to take me straight to that folder location without me having to navigate in. So if you're trying to share a folder location with someone in the company and you know they have access to that folder, perhaps it's with the company share or a shared folder, you can quickly and easily do that. Other options that are here are to move the folder or the file. You can add a star to a folder or file, which will add it to this menu on the left-hand side. You can add some colors if you want to help organize your folder listings so things pop out a little bit more for you. You can rename. You can view the details, or you can download an entire folder, and what it does is it'll compress all of the contents of that folder and download it to your computer. And last, you can remove or delete that folder. One thing that's handy is if you click on a file, you'll notice that when you right-click, there's a View Details option. Now, if you look at this icon here, it's this little eye with a circle. You'll actually have the same one up on the top right-hand side here. And this will give you a little bit more details about this option. It will show you where the file's been moved or who's accessed it or changed it. You can also click on Details to see a little bit more detail about the file, how big the file is, when it was created, when it was last opened, or when it or any descriptive information that has been added to it. This would be the metadata for the document itself. Across the top, you'll notice there's a couple of icons here that should be familiar to you. The Get Shareable Link will copy the shareable link for this document here. You don't need to tick this off because that file is private and it'll stay private, but if it's already in a shared folder, it will already be shared with them. So you don't need to worry about sharing files individually. As long as they're in a shared folder that the recipient of that file already has access to, you don't need to reshare files and folders. This is a share button if you wanted to share it with someone else. Again, we don't encourage sharing of hundreds and thousands of files. It's much easier to manage those if you just place them in a folder that user already has access to. The preview button will bring up that same preview we looked at before. We can delete a file and I'll send it to the trash here. And the more option gives us access to some of the options that we looked at previously. One thing that we'll have a quick look here at is the Manage Versions item. If I click on that, it's going to show me previous versions of a file. And if I've made changes to something, I can actually upload a newer version. This is a great feature for Excel documents or PDFs that don't allow us to have multiple people editing that document at the same time. You can actually upload it, work on it offline, and then upload it afterwards.